And welcome in to practice the day before the day. Inter Miami taking on NYCFC in the MLS Cup playoffs, round one, Citi Field tomorrow night. Chris Whittingham, Thomas Rongen, getting you ready for this one as we're here at the training session the day before. And Thomas, what would this day be like for the players, for the coaches, the day before the day, the big occasion, the playoff game, biggest game in Inter Miami's history?
The bulk of your work, Chris, has been done leading up to this day here. Now it's all about fine-tuning. Now it's about still tweaking certain technical things based on your own team and based on the opponent as well. It might be, talking about set pieces. How do we deal with being up 1-0 or 1-0 down? How do we deal with overtime and potentially penalties as well? We've seen they've taken penalties in practice. Not sure if they're going to do this at this facility right here. But it's an important build-up towards this big game, obviously tomorrow at 7 o'clock, where you want to make sure that your starting 11, which probably they know yet who is playing, understands tactically what you want to do, and you talk about how do we start this game, and throughout the 90 minutes, Chris, the ebbs and flows of this game as well. How do we take the strength away of New York as well? How do we possess the game at times? Those are the little things that the coaching staff will work through as a team, in groups as well, and individually talking to some of the players prior to this game is very, very important. So yes, this is a huge occasion to make sure that your team is ready to compete, and you as a coach have put this team in a position to be successful tomorrow.
Now, Thomas Rongen is an MLS Cup winning coach, so he certainly would know all about this. You mentioned the players speaking earlier today. Here are the thoughts of the Inter Miami midfielder Bryce Duke ahead of this playoff match.
For the team to be able to achieve kind of its first run in playoffs is a tremendous step forward for the club. So I think everyone's excited, everyone's stoked to be here. And then just in training, kind of just focus on what we have to do as a team to get into the next round. Conference semifinals, just take one game at a time. So, but we're focused and we're ready for the challenge, so I'm just excited. Probably just, I would say confidence, maturity, kind of just those things that every kind of young player needs to develop with minutes. You can only do so much when you're just training and then getting minutes here and there. So coming here and then having the experience and the coaching staff to put that trust in me to be able to play all these minutes and all these games definitely helped me as a player develop in the right way. So.
The thoughts there of Bryce Duke heading into this playoff match, Inter Miami taking on NYCFC in the MLS Cup playoffs first round. And Thomas, Bryce Duke talking there about the confidence that he's playing with as a player, but it's not just him, it's the entire team that's in a great mood ahead of this playoff match. 4 wins in 5 to close the season. And you can see the confidence growing as the season went on.
No, without a doubt. And Bryce Duke has played a huge role in the success of this team, obviously. And if you look at those 4 consecutive wins that got us into the playoffs with the win against Orlando, he's taken the heat a little bit of Pasuelo as well, because Pasuelo is the go-to guy. And with both of those on the pitch, it's made Higuain even a better player as well, because you get 2 great creative passers. And
footballers
guys,
is the word you like to use.
Yes, I do. The more footballers you get in the field, the more goals you get in the field, obviously with Higuain being one of them. That's huge. But we're talking about the spirit. And the spirit of this team, in particular, when their backs are against the wall, in almost must-wins, which was late in the season, quite frankly, they've always responded so well. They are resilient. They're the best team, by the way, in scoring goals to win games or to tie games after the 80th minute. So that tells you something about the spirit of this team, the mentality as well. Gregory touched on that, and Bryce Duke touched on it as well individually, but collectively he talked about a confident team. And if you look at Bryce Duke, and we were up close seeing Bryce Duke, you see a very confident, yes, small player that had to fight each and every year to make sure that he could excel and his technical abilities. I talked about, give me a nutmeg and give me an assist. I'm happy, And Bryce Duke pretty much with a big smile on his face, these big blue eyes as well. I think epitomizes what this team is all about. They're confident, they're in good spirits, they like each other, quite frankly, they push each other to excel. Absolutely brilliant. Love to see that from a young player, obviously.
And Gonzalo Higuain is an inspiration for this group as well. You mentioned those late goals. He scored so many of them to get Miami into this position. 14 goals in his final 16 games for Inter Miami in the run-in to close this season. Now, speaking of those players, we spoke to a couple more. Here are the thoughts of Ari Lassiter and Ayman Mabika ahead of kickoff.
We came up here a day earlier than we usually do. So just kind of being in the hotel together, it's almost has a little road trip vibe. But now we're in the playoffs. It's something a goal that we've had for such a long time, even in the last 5 weeks. That's been the focus. Everything that we've done, whether it be film sessions, training sessions, games, it's been to get into these playoffs. And then now, everyone, other than the teams that have played already, everyone has 0 wins in the playoffs. It doesn't really matter what you do in the regular season. No one's going to remember teams that just get to the playoffs. So now that we're here, we want to make a run. So, yeah.
In terms of you personally, do you feel you have to put in any extra motivation, or you just kind of think about doing your job as if it were a normal game?
Yeah, I think the big thing is just playing the game as more than playing the occasion. It is a playoff game, but at the end of the day, the rules aren't any different other than maybe, going to extra time and going to PKs. So for myself, just being a young player especially, just, I have so many guys to lean on. So just doing my job, and I think... As I was saying, yeah, just focus on doing my job, listen to the coach, and the older players on the team, the more experienced players on the team. I think we'll be fine if everyone just kind of does everything we've been doing in the last 5 weeks. We're all on a really good run, so we go into the playoffs in a good way, and we just hope to keep that momentum going.
Thanks, Mike.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
This is what I've been waiting for, moment of truth. So just excited to get the ball rolling tomorrow.
What do you view as your role to play tomorrow in terms of on the field, tactically?
Just like every match, bring intensity, bring my speed, look in to get in behind, set my teammates up, and try to create goal-scoring opportunities.
A lot of conversation in the build-up about Gonzalo and this being his final run. Do you sort of view that as extra motivation for the team?
100%. I think everybody's buying into that a lot. We want to see him go out on a high note, and that would be very nice for him.
Do you allow yourself a moment for joy to sort of revel in the occasion? I imagine ahead of kickoff tomorrow, there'll be big pageantry and all that. Do you sort of allow yourself to enjoy this?
I think there'll always be joy to it. This is why I do it, and just being on the stage of playoffs just adds to that.
Ari Lassiter, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And those are the thoughts of 2 key Inter Miami contributors ahead of this one. Ayman Mabika, the center back, and Ari Lassiter, who could play a really big role as a second forward alongside Gonzalo Higuain. Big on the counter-attack. Who's maybe the 1 or 2 players, TR, that you think ahead of this one that could have a huge role to play?
Well, I think the axis, the spine of this team is going to be huge. And Mabika, as young as he is, that partnership with Lowe is very important, obviously. We go further down the line. Pozuelo and that combination with Higuain, maybe the best 1-2 punch, obviously, in the league. And the most informed number 9 in Higuain. We talked about him already. And the team has this little cheer after practice and after games.
They do like the Serie A style.
Yes,
Gonzalo,
exactly.
Higuain.
So it's almost like there's more to play. And we do it not just for Gonzalo Higuain, but we would love for him to win this trophy, obviously. And that gives you an extra incentive and very important in one-off games, obviously, in particular on the road where you have to buckle down and be absolutely strong. So, yes, I would say both Lassiter as a starter off the bench has had a great impact. Mabika in the back has been absolutely stellar. It gives us that strength on set pieces for and against as well. So can't wait for these 2 guys and the rest of the team to perform tomorrow.
Those are thoughts of Thomas Röntgen ahead of this one as Inter Miami get ready to take on NYCFC. When we come back, we'll have the thoughts from the sporting director, Chris Henderson, as Inter Miami are on a remarkable run to the MLS Cup playoffs. We'll get his thoughts ahead of this playoff game. Coming up next, we'll be right back after this.
To have a truly great career, you need to be with a great company. Now's your chance to go be great at AutoNation. Go to jobs.autonation.com for endless career opportunities. Work at America's largest and most admired automotive retailer that's driving towards $35 million donated to fight cancer. For industry-leading benefits and a great work experience, visit jobs.autonation.com now and go be great.
¿Qué te pareció el partido?
Bueno, por suerte metimos al captain a tiempo y se llevó muy bien con la piña. Es un dúo que nos gustó mucho y va a ser historia en esta casa. Si quieres vivir un partido épico, mete al captain.
Gracias. I need to try it first.
Looking for Shea, got a piece of it, he scores! Brett Shea! Looking for Robinson, Robinson collects, Robinson! Finish it! Are you kidding me? It's stoppage time!
Stir things up with Espolón Tequila, the official tequila sponsor of Inter Miami CF. Made with hand-harvested 100% Blue Weber agave from Los Altos de Jalisco, Mexico. Grab an Espolón cocktail at a stadium bar today.
And welcome back. Inter Miami getting ready for their playoff match against NYCFC. Thomas Rongen, and now joined by the sporting director, Chris Henderson, as we get ready for this one. And Chris, this is sort of, I guess, the destination point, but also the beginning point. What's sort of the feeling at the end of this regular season now heading into the playoffs?
Yeah, we're excited. We want this to just be one step and continue our season. But we talked about at the beginning of the year, we wanted consistency. We wanted to be able to build something, and I feel like now we're in a position, it's a new season, anything can happen. Playing the defending champs tomorrow, so it's a great opportunity for us.
How do you sort of view the journey to get to this point? Because you started the year with a fairly enormous job to rebuild this team and sort of change the character of it, and you've accomplished that goal, finishing 6th in the MLS Eastern Conference. The journey to get here, how do you sort of view it in retrospect?
I mean, it took us, we did have a lot of changes. It took us a minute to get the roster together, for everyone to gel. I think we set goals together. Phil and his staff have done an amazing job with the team, working and developing players, young players who've come through, draft picks who have come through and have played significant minutes. So I feel like we have a core of players that we're going to work with, and we want to keep adding to that, but the experience that the players are getting this year and now with this playoff experience is going to be invaluable.
It's brilliant. Talk about spirit and talk about mentality. Yetland runs by and goes, all right, regular season's over, playoffs, here we come, and we're not done yet. So that pretty much tells us what you and Phil have done in terms of the DNA, the culture. Character is important to you, obviously. This is a great group of players that have destiny, obviously. But going back to the master class in rebuild, in my opinion, up against some of the best in the world, meet Kevin Payne that I've worked with and guys like that. 22 guys left, 19 came in. You did an incredible job with the under-22, you know. You can put Bryce Duke, Lassiter, Campana in there as well. You had value with Yetland and with Mott. Job well done. But as Chris said, that journey, you know, was not always this way. You guys hit some bumps in the road and stayed with it. What was important, again, in that locker room, at that training facility for you and Phil to continue the quest?
Yeah, I mean, I think we took the idea that it's not going to be easy, but it will be worth it. And everyone stuck together. This is, as you said, it's a great group. The spirit of the group is very good. We tried to look at relationships on the field, how players complement each other, and then off the field, how they're going to be in the locker room and working together. So, credit to the recruitment staff, and Sam Gregory with data analytics, Nikki Budelich, Mark Person, our scouting director, Megan Cameron, everything behind the scenes in building the team. And then Phil and his staff for being involved in all the acquisitions along the way. I think collaboration is one of our values, and I think we have stuck with that from the team and behind the team.
So, Chris, you have so much experience having been in the Seattle organization with the playoffs as a player as well. What is different about this time of year in terms of from a mentality standpoint, from a playing standpoint, from a just approaching a game standpoint? What is different about this, and what is sort of a key to success?
It's the playoffs, so everything changes now. The intensity is ramped up, and it's a one-off game. It used to be home and away, and now the higher seed gets the home game. So, you know, it can all end tomorrow night. So we need to go in and grasp this moment. We don't need to put pressure on ourselves because the pressure's on them. We're here and we're going to give everything we have and compete. So I think it's about being focused, making sure that the relationships are good as we go in, and believing in what we've done to get here.
And from a sort of particular standpoint, is there any playoff moment from your time in Seattle that stands out as this is sort of an encapsulation of how the playoffs work and how that experience builds over time?
That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, we were fortunate to make the playoffs every year. I think 2016 was a year that I think Toronto FC was the best team in the league. And we did everything we could to get there step by step. We had some luck along the way. We had some players healthy who were key players, Nico Ladero. And we got to the final, made it to penalties and won. So, you know, it's about a belief in a group and believe what you're doing and anything can happen.
Yeah, and I had a similar situation with in the first year with the Tampa Bay Mutiny when we ran away with the league as well. And faltered against DC United. And for me, that was a great lesson as a young coach as well. And I took that with me actually to DC United in '99 because I thought that my preparation prior to that game wasn't the way it should have been. And I was in no man's land as well because it was a first for me.
How should it have been then?
I allowed the players to dictate a little because I've done that the whole season. I was very democratic, although in the end I made the decisions. I allowed players to have input, which you guys have done as well. Phil tells a great story about how do we want to play, and some of the veteran players voiced their opinions, and based on that, you take the input and do what you still think is right for the team. I didn't do that the first year. I did it in '99 and reined them in a little bit because all of a sudden there's media attention. There's certain things that aren't there yet. But again, this team seems really focused and really together and friends, I think, you know, which is rare in locker rooms as well. And I got to give you a lot of credit. But if you look at this game, you look at a 2-0 loss in New York, with Castellano still being there, not being here anymore. You look at the 3-2 win at home, where Pozuelo gets the brace. And by the way, Pozuelo scores a brace in 2019 in the same stadium playing tonight for Toronto. So, you know, that's pretty cool as well. So, looking at the matchups a little bit, where could it be won or lost without giving the secrets away, so to speak?
I mean, you mentioned Pozuelo. Pozuelo is going to be a key player for us. Gonzalo is a key player. They're linking up together is helped bring us to where we are today. But I think coming with the veteran players who have been in these moments before, Yedlin, another example of a player who's been in these moments, and you have to rely on those veteran players and their experience. One thing we always said at this club, and a former coach I had, Ziggy Schmidt, who you know, he said there's always something about being first that's special about being first to do something. And we want to be the first Inter Miami team to advance past the first round. I think that's the mentality we need to go into it, and relying on that experience. And really, it's the first time for Phil in this experience as you had with the Mutiny. So there's going to be things we need to learn along the way, but I think if you get that group and then you bring the young players and keep them confident along, I think we'll have success.
Setting targets, so always important in this stage of the season. Wanted to ask you about Gonzalo Higuain announced his retirement in his final season. There's been a lot of talk about sort of what it means to the group as a whole, not just Gonzalo. What have you made of the fact that the season flipped for him? He's probably one of the most informed players heading into this and heading into these MLS Cup playoffs. What sort of did you see as a major turning point for him?
Well, 14 goals in the last 16 games. I mean, he turned it around for us, and what an amazing career. Super special to share his final year and be part of that, and just the way he's led the group, the way he is at training, the way he is in the cafeteria and around the young players. You know, they hear the stories he talks about at Juve, at Real Madrid, and these moments that he's had, and you'll never get those back. Like, they are there forever, and he shared it, and it's something as a young player, you remember what the veterans told you like 15 years before, or 10 years before, and you take that with you as something that you can learn and bring to your game.
Very interesting, actually, because Bryce Duke touches on that in his interview, obviously, with us as well, talking about Gonzalo, talking about the influence, but also talking about the legacy, and they do the Serie A chant for Gonzalo afterwards as well, you know. It's like do one for the Gipper. They got something special here going, which is really unique, I think, you know, in that aspect.
Yeah, and when you look at it, this is the last time this group will ever be together. There'll be changes. There's changes every year, and they have to savor that this is the last, you know, moments they have, and hopefully the next 4 or 5 games together.
And one last one before we let you go. Alejandro Pozuelo has been such a huge addition into this team. We'll see whether or not he starts against NYCFC, but just how much has he delivered on what you hoped to acquire back in July?
Yeah, I mean, we were looking for someone who can dictate the rhythm of the game, who can hit the final pass. You know, it worked out with Toronto. We thought it was off. We thought it was on. It went back and forth over a couple weeks, and then we got him. And, you know, he's come through, and like I said, we're in this position for a lot of the things that he's done to help us get there.
Chris Henderson, the sporting director here at Inter Miami. Massive playoff game tomorrow night as Inter Miami take on NYCFC, the defending champs, in round 1 of the MLS Cup playoffs. We'll be right back with more on this build-up show for Inter Miami's second ever playoff match on the other side.
To have a truly great career, you need to be with a great company. Now's your chance to go be great at AutoNation. Go to jobs.autonation.com for endless career opportunities. Work at America's largest and most admired automotive retailer that's driving towards $35 million donated to fight cancer. For industry-leading benefits and a great work experience, visit jobs.autonation.com now and go be great.
Over the last 75 years, City National Bank has always been there for our neighbors. Like this year, when we saved over 300,000 jobs like Michelle's. And because she's at work, her food distributor is on the job too. And so is the woman that does his website. And the accountant that keeps her books as well. Because when you thrive, we all thrive. City National Bank, 75 years of tradition, a future of promise.
New fan loyalty platform. Coming soon. Become a VIP. Win big prizes. Grand prizes. Tickets. Team gear. Travel. Experiences. Gadgets. A new way to compete. Win. Earn. Connect. Official loyalty and gamification partner. Inter Miami X Mana. xmana.com.
One step closer.
One step closer.
Every AutoNation pink plate gets us one step closer to driving out cancer. Nearly $35 million donated so far, and we're just getting started. Drive pink now in your favorite new car or truck. New vehicles are on their way daily. Plus, sell us your car for top dollar. Drive pink today at AutoNation.
Inter Miami taking on NYCFC tomorrow night. Chris Whittingham, Thomas Rongen wrapping up this build-up show. And Thomas, big one tomorrow night. What's your sort of feeling ahead of this one?
Huge. The feeling is very positive, and that's based on the fact that we interacted with some of the players, coaching staff, Chris Henderson. Everybody feels good about it. Preparation has been great. Today, the last one prior to the big game as well. And yes, you're playing against a good opponent. And yes, it's a one-off game. But I think that this team has put themselves in a position late in the season to be here and to do something special.
And tomorrow night, we'll have the build-up for you from 6 o'clock, the pregame show, live from Citi Field as Inter Miami take on NYCFC in the first round of the MLS Cup playoffs. We'll build up until 7 p.m. You can also hear the game on 96.5 FM HD2 in Miami. You can watch it on FS1. For Thomas Rongen, for myself, Chris Whittingham, and our tremendous production team, signing off as we get you ready for Inter Miami taking on NYCFC. It's playoff time, and it starts tomorrow night.